like Nancy Pelosi and play armchair physician, but something is going on. And what do you think is happening at this hour?
Well, first I would say the country is in a very dangerous position right now with the President of the United States in this cognitive state that everybody can see around the world.
So our picture of the week is this glorious Truth Social post by Donald Trump. So Emily posted a photograph of, so he's got his portrait from 45 and 47, and Biden's portrait is a framed photo of an auto pen.
You know, it's so great.
Isn't that amazing? Can the court actually negate, like Trump said, they don't count? Is that possible?
I think there's a valid argument for that, absolutely. Think about when you execute a will. You know, you have to be of sound mind and body, right? The witnesses have to have no vested interest, like all of those little things. The point is that the courts have to ensure that of your sound mind body, that's what's actually signing, that you mean what you write.
Flashback.
I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me.
We're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
All of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
You want him to do you so much you could do anything?
You know, with you in Angola, a vibrant city, and I look, not the city. The city I know is not Angola, but in Angola, in a vibrant city.
What? Angola's a country.
It's really difficult to watch those clips. Now, the minority leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, says that setbacks are just setups for a comeback. I don't know if you can come back from whatever is ailing the president. I'm not going to be like Nancy Pelosi and play armchair physician, but something is going on. And what do you think is happening at this hour?
Well, first I would say the country is in a very dangerous position right now with the President of the United States in this cognitive state that everybody can see around the world. Lucas Tomlinson also is reporting that all U.S. military bases in Europe have been put on a heightened alert status due to a potential terrorist attack because there is credible intel to show something may happen. And this is what we are having to deal with in the Commander-in-Chief only being available from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the truth is that Democrats have known about this problem for months. I talked to a big Democratic donor, has big influence in the party, probably 5 months ago, and he said we should have done this earlier. We should have had a real primary.
That was my question. Like, should they have let the primary
We didn't do it, and now we're stuck with Biden.
Listen, so Mike Johnson gave an interview to my website, the Free Press, thefp.com. Go and subscribe. That's me plugging it. But Mike Johnson came on, the House Speaker, and he said that he realized when Biden was losing it. He said, why did you sign the bill banning liquid natural gas from going to Europe? That means the Europeans are going to be more dependent on the Russians. Why would you do that? And Biden's like, I didn't sign that.
Yes.
And Mike Johnson's like, yes, you did. I'm from Louisiana. That's where it comes from. And they had this back and forth. They're like, do you want to look at it? And Biden was unaware of what he signed in that case. So it was scary. It was dangerous, what we had in the White House and the cover-up.
A few moments later.
Okay, let's talk about Biden for a second.
Yeah.
You have said that he is the worst. I actually want to quote this, make sure I get it right. You have said that he is the worst president in the history of this country. Worse even than James Buchanan?
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't say James Buchanan.
No, you didn't say James Buchanan. You said Biden is the worst president in the history of the country.
All right.
With him about to leave office.
Yes.
Do you want to revise that, or do you stand by it?
No, I do stand by it, and I say this without any personal animus at all. I mean, in some ways, I actually kind of feel sorry for Joe Biden. I mean, he's in the twilight years of his life. He is not, obviously, has not been in charge for some time, and I know this by personal observation, and now the whole world knows it, and it's been very, very concerning to me over the last, year and a half since I've had this
Can you
position.
tell us a story when you say personal observation? What kind
Well,
of
I
thing
mean,
did you see?
it's public now because the Wall Street Journal got it and put it on the front page. But January a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I had been asked. I became Speaker in October 2023, and there were all sorts of big national security concerns and everything going on. And I started requesting a meeting with the president because, I'm kind of old school. I'm a constitutional law guy. The Speaker of the House should be able to talk to the president, especially in times of great national interest and calamity. But they wouldn't let me meet with him, and his staff kept giving me excuses. This went on for like 8 or 9 weeks. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, he doesn't have time. What are you talking about? I'm second in line of the presidency. He has time. I need to talk to him. We had, I can't say the classified parts, but we had some big national concerns at the time that I was losing sleep over. Finally, I just went to the Hill press corps and I said, the president is not being allowed to meet with the Speaker. There's a problem. So they started putting pressure on him. Long story short, they finally relented. They invited me to the White House. I show up and I realize it's actually an ambush because it's not just me and the president. It's also Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem, the CIA director, everybody. And then, so I walked in the Oval and, I know what this is. They're going to hotbox the Speaker on Ukraine funding. That's what it was. This is probably the 3rd week of January. We sit down, we're in the midst of it, and the whole conversation, and I'm going, we don't need to have this conversation. The president reaches over just like this. We're sitting right next to the fireplace in the Oval, and he grabs my arm and he says, the Speaker and I just need a couple minutes together. Would y'all just leave us alone? And I looked up on the faces of some of the staff standing around the wall, and they're like, oh, no, he did it. So he called it. He's the commander-in-chief. So everybody leaves, and he and I are standing awkwardly in the middle of the Oval Office, right over the rug by that coffee table. And I said, Mr. President, thanks for the moments. This is very important. I got some big national security things I need to talk to you about that I've heard and I think you know, and what do we do? But first, real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me, stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said, no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed.
Oh, hell no!
And I walked out of that meeting with fear and loathing because I thought, we're in serious trouble. Who is running the country? I don't know who put the paper in front of him, but he didn't know.
So I think there's a really valid argument that all of this is...
Definitely. All these pardons he did. He didn't even know he was doing.
Forget the pardons. This man was unfit to serve, period. His best effort, the best they could get, whatever they juiced him up with, Red Bulls, whatever the hell, to try to give him wings. He had no wings during that debate. That was the best he could do.
He shouldn't have signed anything after that.
He shouldn't, but he never signed anything. We keep insulting everyone by saying Biden did. He didn't do but except eat applesauce and wait to get changed. That's all he did. This automated pen thing now only adds more evidence that there was treason committed by this administration, unelected people running their programs, the ridiculous point where they were like, you can't build anything around the United States oils and, all these bans and all these things they were doing. It was the agenda of the weird progressives, period. It had nothing to do with Democrats and all that. It had to do with the weird left. It'd be just like if the weird right got in charge. Yeah. We started making national mandates. Everyone has to have a truck with a flag on it. Some of the stuff that we have to deal with. But they wouldn't do that because we have checks and balances and our leadership can complete a cognitive sentence. So we laugh about it, but this should really scare us because for 4 years, this country was basically being ran by interns. And that's why we're in the shape we're in.